pair has a lot of responsibility. You have to watch the news that's attached to it. You also have to make sure that when your pair is moving around, you're available to take a trade. So, like, I wouldn't trade US30 during Asia session, but if that's the time that you're available, then you may want to look for a pair that kind of moves around during that session and enjoy, and I'm available to trade a New York session. So this is another reason for focusing on this pair. When people focus too much on strategies, it's kind of like it's a A, B, and C kind of process, and then you're gonna program yourself to always look for that one particular setup every day at a particular time, and it's not always gonna happen that way. A key level is a level that has a lot of volume in it. Let's go and dive into my US30 system. I'm gonna clear this chart and I'm gonna head over to that weekly time frame. So here on the weekly, as you can see, we're continuing to take out the previous week's high. But what I did notice is that as we entered this new week, if we talk about those ranges, if you watch any of my videos, I love to talk about ranges, the weekly range, the monthly range, and then the daily range. We normally open where the previous candle has closed, and then the market tends to go into a particular direction. For me, that's normally the direction of manipulation or a discount or down into a break of structure, whichever way you see it. And then we normally continue up into the intended direction after that manipulation. So there was a selling opportunity presented to us yesterday as we started the week Monday. And guys, that was the manipulation. So I did take some sales. If you guys were watching my Instagram, I did take some sales. There were some scalps. I did understand, like, hey, this is the first direction that the market is going into. This is not going to be a long setup. We're gonna definitely get in and out of this setup because that's that manipulation, that first move. So after we came down, everyone had a selling opportunity. I hope those who were selling were able to get out of the market and understood what was happening. And then we started to go up, which was the opportunity for yesterday and today, because I think midday we started to climb up. Also, guys, what I noticed was that the market was more than likely going to come back down into that not last week's high, but the week's high before that. The market was probably going to test that break of structure. As you can see, this candle broke structure. This is the high. Looks like we came back down and tapped into that high. What does that look like on that daily time frame? I'll show you that in just a minute. So guys, when we're looking for our entries, there's no one way to get an entry, and that's with any pair. You're gonna find that you're gonna have 50% of imbalance entries. You're gonna find that you have break of structure entries. You're gonna also find that you have order block entries, supply zone entries, demand zone entries. This is why we don't want to focus on one system. There's no one way to make money, right? So guys, I noticed that from that weekly time frame. Hey, we have a high and the market may be pushing down to that high. Let's check that out on the daily time frame. Remember, I'm going to keep this here. Remember what we were looking at. So in the previous video, I showed you that we were looking at this supply zone. It was really strong. And most retail traders were looking at this area as a resistance. And this is where we come into key levels. So here's that supply zone here, really, really strong. Naturally, guys, when any trader, when price was climbing back up, naturally, people were looking to sell the market back down based on previous data. So we don't want to even train our minds to say every time we see a supply zone, we're gonna sell. We have to learn how to watch the market and get little clues as to what's happening. As stated in the previous video, we had a little area where price was bouncing from supply and demand, as you can see here. So here's that demand zone. Price was bouncing from supply to demand, supply back to demand. And the last touch that we got was from this demand. We swept out this low and price came up. The target would have been the highs, the stop losses that were resting above here. So as you can see, guys, we broke above that supply zone, no longer a supply zone. So let's remove that, put it over here. And what price did was come back, tap that high, that not last week's high, but the previous week's high. We came back and tapped that high, which was a break of structure. So this could have been a break of structure entry, and this also could have been a key level entry. There's a lot of volume in this area. I like to have my key levels as orange. And long term, as I stated, right? Long term, here's that TP. Here's my TP. We don't really ever know how high it's going to go. But if we have a high, we can work with that high and use it as a take profit. So long term, what I'm looking for is for price to come back down into discount. If I'm going to take a long-term buy, I would like to have price back down into some type of discount, and then I could take the market way back up to any high that it left. So if it comes all the way up here, then I have a TP in mind. You don't have to hold the trade that long to the TP. You can, after getting an entry and prices respecting this area, you can start to target any highs in between that. But for me, I like to hold trades long term if I can. And so what I'm looking for after this small setup, right? And you have to also understand when your setup is for a long term or a short term. We have to also understand that as well. Like when I'm taking a trade, because I'm trading, I'm buying in a premium area, which goes against my rules that I have for myself. I know that this trade is short term. I'm just taking this to the nearest high. I'm not going to predict how high it's going to go. I'm simply taking this to the nearest high. I also want to point out that the dollar is bearish. So I do a part of my system is watching and analyzing the dollar and using it against US30 as well. So these are little tips and tricks that I have when I'm looking for my setup. And as I said, stay away from the strategies and start to adapt to systems, because the system has so many different components that when you open up your charts and you look at what at the setup, you'll see key level, imbalance entry, breaker structure entry. You'll have your take profits in mind, and it'll all make sense. You also have to know when it's time to wait for your setup. So because this is a short-term trade, what I would like to happen is that because we have a swing low, that we start to create some type of a swing high and get something like this. Price starts to break structure to the downside, and I could then go in, use the fib, and measure the swing high and the swing low, and I'd be able to find my discount area where if I can get a selling opportunity, I would, and take it down to discount. And from there, I'd be looking to buy US30 back up. And this is all a part of a system, right? A strategy focuses on one thing. A system focuses on so many different components that could help you get in and out of your trades effectively, right? So look how beautiful this setup looks, right? So here's that. I'm gonna go ahead and do away with this. And of course, you want to look at your previous day's highs and your previous day's lows, but I want everyone to start focusing on that higher time frame, because when you get down to the smaller time frame, you have your entries, you have your take profits, and this brings us back to where we started at the beginning of this video. Here's my entry. Here's my take profit. Originally, I had my stop loss somewhere around here. But as you start to break structure to the upside, guys, you can definitely go ahead and start to move your stop losses up. We'll leave the entry here. You can definitely start to move your stop losses up. And there you have it. Here's my setup for today. And there are some components to my US30 system. Best of luck to you all, guys, and stay tuned for the very next video. Thank you for watching.